Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is Tuesday, June the 16th, and because it's Tuesday, I'm here at 11 o'clock Eastern because that's what I do. And I'm looking forward to seeing who is available. It's a gorgeous day here in Ottawa. It's warm and it's sunny, and the sky is blue, and the leaves are green and full, and everything is very nice. Very springy, and there are some hot temperatures coming that are not so much spring. I think we're moving directly into summer, even though we had a frost warning just like within the last week. It's strange and wonderful. All right, so welcome. I did have a theme for today in mind, and now I don't know what it was. That's interesting. It was, I was at a workshop this weekend. I know what it was. It was about the energies that will support us shifting ourselves out of our heads and into our hearts. Getting out of a lot of the analytical learned behaviors that we have, and figuring out what it is that we're feeling and what it is that makes us feel good. Hello, Pam Jonas. Don't know how long you've been there because I don't know what the delay is today. However, okay, I am pulling for a guidance for getting away from all of the left brain analytical, sensible, logical responses to life, and moving into our hearts and finding what it is that makes us feel good. So for Pam, I have, oh, and hello, Sydney. Yes, you may have a card, absolutely. As soon as I've done this one for Pam. Okay, the card is discernment, which is very interesting given what I just said. We're going to move out of left brain, and I think this is a mock orange, right? It's pretending to be something that it's not. And this card is telling you that you will feel better when you connect with your discernment. Sometimes that's going to be just about following hunches. If you think somebody is doing a little bit of flim flam while they try to sell you something, trust yourself. Know that you are very capable of discerning without necessarily making a list of pros and cons and being left-brained about it. You have inner wisdom. The 13, the 1 is your integral self, of course. The 3 is that portal to inspiration. It is where you are transmitting information from the cosmos into the physical. And when we add those up, they become a very practical 4, which suggests that when you allow the inspiration to flow, you can make practical decisions, and you don't need anything more than that inspiration to know. You know when something's not right. You know this. You're no fool. So this that makes sense to me. Let me know if it doesn't make sense to you. We can do something different. Sydney, hello. Thank you for being here. I am delighted. And yes, please, you certainly can have a card. Okay, interesting. Interesting given the theme. Okay, so you have drawn complexity. complexity. Those winter branches that go off in all directions. There's no straight line through whatever it is that you're working through. There's a lot of stuff to consider. This is so interesting because, like discernment, dealing with complexity, it's one of the places where we tend to apply logic to make the lists. And this card has come in response to how can I move out of my head and into my heart. I think perhaps you too are being given the instruction that that it's about connecting to your inner wisdom. 2 is the number of relationship, of community, of more than one person being involved. So this could be, it could be about your personal life, it could be about your work life where you're dealing with colleagues, could be if you're living with children, it could be about your relationship with them and the community that you form together. I guess all of your bubble is the way we'll phrase that from now on. 3 is that point of inspiration that we just saw in Pam's card, where the cosmic wisdom flows through you and into the physical world. So as you're in community and you're inspired and you are having ideas that are outside the box, they're coming together as a 5. 2 plus 3 is 5, which is a place of growth and expansion. And so as you some of this I think is about cutting through the stuff. It's a rude word, I nearly said. Cutting through it because you know in your heart what's supposed to come next. And when all of these barriers are in the way and all these decisions that need to be made about this way or that way or the other way, I think if you pause and get quiet and breathe and do whatever it is that you do to get in connection with yourself, hug a tree or meditate or walk a labyrinth or whatever that is, I think that you know how to simplify what's going on. And certainly the world at the moment, with all the changes that are happening, it can be very complicated, and it can seem it seems more complicated than it actually is. And sometimes when we don't want to do something, we can invent complications just to avoid doing something that we think doesn't serve us. There's nothing wrong with deciding not to do something. That's a decision too, and that simplifies things. Wrens. A Gemini girl named Judith. Will it work and be a relationship? I do not know. I cannot know. That's there may be a contract between you and Judith made before you came into the human experience, and it might include being together in a physical relationship, or it might be simply the learning that comes from being together for a very short time and learning from each other and evolving your soul to go forward into a different future. But I will certainly draw you a card. It's I have never, you're welcome, Sydney, I have never pretended to be any kind of a relationship coach, but we'll see what the cards suggest. And this, again, I hadn't realized when I set the theme, but there's a great truth that we all have deep wisdom. A lot of the time we run around on the surface of life and we don't stop and get in to listen. But if you have a quiet practice, if you have a way to get into the zone, and that can be because you're running through the park, it can be because you're in a meaningful building to you and you're on your knees and praying, it can be because you're sitting in a lotus position for a while, but getting to what you already know. And some piece of you, if you do have, and it sounds as though you do, the very fact you're asking the question, whatever your contract is, your sacred contract with the soul of Judith, it is progressing you along your path. And you know what that is. The guidance the cards offer cards say, oh my, okay, love this card. And I think it does kind of apply here. The card is self-awareness. And that essentially just says what I just said. You know your own self. And as you become aware of yourself and of the attractions that you feel and of the ways in which you are serving Judith's life path as well as the ways that she can serve yours, when you become very aware and conscious of what it is that's moving you forward and what it is that you want, then that's when you will find the answers. The answers are within you, and being aware of that depth of your own self is a very important thing. One is your essence, your central identity, that place where your universe begins for you. Zero is everything that is. It is the container for everything in all of the universe as we know it, and possibly more. And when we add those together, of course, 1 + 0 is back to 1. So it is the universe within you. You can access it. You can you can draw on that knowledge. You can identify what is the contract. And that doesn't mean it's easy. I don't pretend to think that it's easy for you. But that is the guidance that the card shows. That's so interesting. When you came, you are, Rens, as we all are, everybody here and everybody not here, a beautiful and eternal spiritual being. Your existence has been since the time of the Big Bang. You have just always existed, and you have been gathering information. You have been living many lives. You have been finding out many things, and you decided to come back into the physical at this time to be here for the early millennial years, and when we're shifting from 1,000 years with a 1 in the year to this new idea of living in community with a 2 being so prominent in everything we do, relationship and togetherness, consensus, and all of those things. So you chose to come. You came with particular things that you wanted to accomplish. You came to people who had agreed to provide you with your early teachings and for you to teach them. You had contracts with other people later on. And you didn't fit. Your enormous um, your enormous soul and knowledge didn't fit into little baby Renz's head. So you had to leave a whole lot of it behind and come down and learn to live in the physical and do all of those things. And you, when you get quiet, then you can access that eternal and immortal self that is you. I think you're asking and answering your own question, Renz. I really do. There is no it to work. Can you work to be in a relationship to support Judith and her growth? And will that progress you along your path to your destiny? I don't know. The answer the cards give is that you develop some self-awareness about what it is that you want, who it is that you are, and how it is that just knowing Judith is helping you to become the best and most amazing Wrens that ever there could be. Okay, that maybe sounds obtuse, I'm sorry. For people watching the video, I am going to draw a community card. Yes, I don't know what your expectations are, Rens. You are already in a relationship with Judith. You're clearly having discussions. You're clearly knowing each other well enough to know that she's a Gemini. There's look at how Judith is served by being with you. look at how you are able to progress your own development through being with Judith, and be with knowing yourself. Okay, so moving out of our head and into our heart, this is going to be a card for the people watching the video. Evidently I forgot a couple of times to draw one of these, and I apologize. Okay, so community, getting the number 7, the teacher card. This is about teachings. This is beech nuts in full fruit, and there's the second side to beech nuts are incredibly nutritious. They're very high in nut oil, which is very, very good for the animals that eat beech nuts. It's and they can be pressed for oil. They cannot be forced. They can't be cultivated. Maybe if they can, they're a different species. These ones absolutely cannot be cultivated in a sensible way, because of their opening process is not delayed but staggered. You know, one opens and a day later another one opens, and a day later another one opens. So you can't pick them and have them open. You also can't force them open. They won't be ready. They open as they ripen. And the other important thing about them is that too many of them, they have compounds in them that can be toxic if they're taken in excess. So any teaching that you are having, any learning that you're doing around this shift from the mental plane into the emotional plane, it's important to pay attention to actually do it and not just talk about it. I think a lot of people talk the talk and don't necessarily walk the walk. And if you're pretending, if you're saying that you're doing stuff, if you're sloganeering and then going home and changing nothing, then that is a really toxic thing to do. It's toxic for yourself to be living out of congruity with yourself, and it's with the people around you. You are teaching them a very, very false and wrong message. So I would say this is the orange at the bottom is about being in the fruiting stage, which is about reaching a culmination of work that has gone on in the past. So whatever you have been working on in the past months or years or even decades, it's coming together as a very important teaching tool. It's teaching you stuff, and other people are learning from watching you. So it's moving from the head to the heart is maybe a very complicated kind of a procedure if you haven't started that work yet. And it's not something that you can make, check marks off in boxes and expect it to be accomplished. That's yeah, life is complicated. I'm sorry, I didn't realize this was going to be such a complicated day today. All right, I'm getting messages. I'm getting people who can't get in. All right, okay. So, yeah. Okay, so is anybody else there? Has anybody come in? I can't tell who's come in and who hasn't. If you can't find the comment box, and you need to let me know that you would like a card, drop out of full screen, because sometimes that loses the comment box for you. Also, sometimes there's a bit of a delay. So after you type, I may not respond instantly, but I am here and I will. And oh, maybe it was the delay that caused the, let me see, so no, I don't think it's a 7-minute delay. Okay, 2020, I have been on for 20 minutes and 20 seconds. That's rather fun that I see that. And I am encouraging people to go to my website, sign up for the newsletter. I'm sending out a survey this week because I'm going to be doing some Zoom sessions, some information sessions and some different experiential things. So I'm very interested to know what your areas of interest are, what topics you want to pursue. And I'm absolutely going to take on board whatever you tell me. So the survey isn't on Facebook at the minute, but it will be in the newsletter. It'll be linked to the newsletter when it goes out tonight. So please, please be signed up before it goes out. I'm sending things out at 20 after 8 in the evening Eastern time, because why wouldn't I? It's 2020. Makes sense to me. So yes, I'm doing Zoom sessions coming up, probably starting next week, all depending on a lot of other things. And I will be here on Friday at 2 o'clock Eastern, as promised. I'm not sure exactly how many weeks this has been now, but since the lock-in, I committed to Friday afternoons. It's interesting to see how a lot of other programming has gravitated towards Fridays. I'm not sure what that's about. I found my Friday is a very busy day because I attend things and I host things, and it is all good. I don't know if I told you you're welcome, Sydney, but you totally are. And yes, Pam, I'm glad that you're so with it. It is a valuable skill to be able to trust your intuition and your innate wisdom, very much so. So while you're on the website signing up for the newsletter, there is a place on the readings page. If you scroll down, you can pre-purchase this deck of cards, which I have to say there has been progress. I've been doing email with the printer. They're getting closer and closer to actually existing. Life is good. And there's 8 years worth of blogs on there, on the blog tab. You can find all sorts of information about all sorts of things, especially numerology, of course. And indeed, there's a category called the miracle of physical life, because, you know, this stuff, magical, absolutely magical. I'm very, very appreciative of the physical world, and the most of it is just so completely miraculous. We cannot, as yet, reproduce anything as strong as a spider web, which is it says something about how the natural world is gifted with just astonishing abilities that we can't even come close to. All right, so I'm feeling as if I'm talking to myself here. Can't imagine why. I am going to see what home. See if I can just boost my post. No. It's disappeared. Hi. It's funny, often when I come out of uh, when I come out of the live screen, then somebody shows up. Yeah, what did I just say? Hello, Beth Ryan. Thank you so much for coming by. I'm delighted that you are here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And absolutely, yes, I will draw a card for you. I have taken, my theme today is around shifting our focus and our responses out of our mental plane and into our emotional plane, from moving from our head to our heart. So I hope that this card will guide you as to how you can maximize that shift and connect with yourself. So for Beth, it really wants to be this one. It keeps coming away. Nice. Okay. So Beth, you have drawn the abundance card, which is really rather a nice one. It's very pretty apart from anything else. I really, really like that. So abundance is sometimes it's about prosperity and financial accomplishment, but very rarely. Abundance is about having enough of the things that really, really matter. It's about having people respect you. It's about having love that you can reciprocate in appropriate ways. It's about just having having all of the things that feel like enough, knowing that all is well, and knowing that the love of the universe that is poured into you, and the unseen guides who are around you and upholding you. It's a very, very important presence. The 1 and the 7. 1 is you. This is your central identity, the essence that is Beth. No matter what happens to your physical body, all your hair could fall out and your nails break, you would still be Beth. And that is the identity, the spirit, the soul that has existed through all of time and will continue to exist. So that is the 1. 7 is the number for the teacher. So there are lessons happening, and there are ways the ways that you are responding to life right now. Other people are learning from that. They are seeing, oh, this is how people respond. I know because Beth did this, this, and this. So being aware of the example that you're setting is an important part of this, because there are a whole lot of people watching. There's a lot of people who are impacted by you. When we add them together, which in numerology we always add up till there's only one digit, so we get an 8, and an 8 is that wonderful flow of energy that as our life force comes from wherever it comes from and moves into us and out of us. The two circles of an 8 are like the in-breath and the out-breath. They can't exist one without the other. It's a constant looping. And when we lie an 8 down, we get the mathematical symbol for infinity. So it is that connection with all that is resonating with you. So in terms of moving out of your head and into your heart, I think there's a need to remember that there will be enough, that if you are doing a lot of computing because, oh my goodness, what if it all goes wrong, and oh, I have to cling to what I have because there might not be any more, making that shift into relaxing and knowing that actually we live in an abundant universe, and there will be enough, and there already is enough, and it's on its way to you. So from the tension that you feel in mental activity, moving into a relaxation and a place of acceptance, if that makes sense for you. That's the card is transmitting to me, at least. So let me know in the comments if I'm talking out of my hat. I will pull another card and see if we can get closer to your actual situation. Happy to do that. Never ever want to give somebody a message that that doesn't make sense to them. We will work until it does make sense. And I don't know how long you were there, so I will invite you to like and follow this page so that you know when I'm here, what I'm doing. And also to head over to joleath.com, that's spelt the way it is on this page, and sign up for my newsletter, because I'm going to be starting doing some free information sessions on Zoom. And I would love, it does make a lot of sense. I'm delighted, Beth. I really am. I do get so, I get excited by the rightness of it, even after 30 some years of doing this. It just thrills me how right it is. And I'm glad that's working for you. The idea of getting out of the thinking and into the feeling is an interesting theme. As I see these cards come up, it's very interesting to see the different ways that we can make that shift, and the different things that are limiting us, because we do feel limited around a lot of it sometimes. And a lot of that is just because of the teaching that we've been exposed to as young people, as growing people, as we developed our view of the world. And depending on how old we are, you know, the world view I was given would have served me beautifully if I could live forever in the 1950s. That's not how linear time works. And as a result, I have had to do a lot of unlearning. And I think that's true for a great many people of my generation. I have a hard time even wrapping my brain around the worldview that children of the 80s and 90s grew up with. And I know they are having to unlearn too. Because after 1,000 years, with that one at the beginning of every year, when we learnt, we shifted ourselves to a place where in the 1950s we got the International Declaration on Individual Rights. We came to understand the role and the importance and the just the incredible power that is an individual human being, and how much they are owed just for the fact of being on the planet and walking around. We got to that, we got to understand the power of one, the importance of one, the interconnectedness of all things, the oneness that is all things. And then didn't we shift into having a 2 at the beginning of the year? And this changes everything. Really does change everything. So now we're living in a world that is very, very communal, that is interconnected, where there are networks, where we talk about consensus and cooperation, where we do collaborative work, and we move into teams rather than into an individualistic sort of a workplace as we get older and move into the economy. And even right now, where people are working at home and by themselves in a lot of cases, using the technology to link them up to their colleagues and to their employers and to whichever groups they belong to, or indeed even for entrepreneurs who are connecting to their clients and being responsive. And it's a back and forth and a collaborative engagement to provide the services that are being asked for. That's very, very different way of being. And young people who are turning 20 this year, and yeah, the ones turning 20 this year don't even have any ones in their birth year. Of course, the children from 2001 do. And then from 2010, we got this wonderful decade of, hello, Kathy Anderson, a wonderful decade of people who are going to be the interpreters, who have the overlap. They've got the one and the two, and they can work and understand equally well the generations, and that's really good. Hey, Kathy, we're talking about shifting from your head into your heart and just getting really present with life the way that it is and how that it serves you. And so a card that can guide you to how that can be. Okay, I was just talking about this. I don't know how long you've been here. I was talking about the flow, the number 8. Somebody got the number 17. So I was talking about the 8 and that brilliant flow from the non-physical into the physical, and the way that our breath, the two cells of an 8 are like an in-breath and an out-breath. They have to be together or else there isn't any breath at all. So the idea of flow, these grasses are so pretty, and I don't know if they grow where you are in Scotland. I've never seen them here in Ontario. These pictures, of course, are all taken in Nova Scotia. Um, and when there's a whole field of these, a whole meadow that has come into fountain grass fruit, there's this pink, a pink hue to the whole thing, but there's always wind because Nova Scotia is surrounded by sea. So the breezes and the winds move across the fields in waves, and it's the these seed heads ripple, and it's like pink water. It's just a lovely feeling of the way the atmosphere flows across everything. So in terms of, I think, coming back to breath, that flow of energy, of life that comes through, that as life flows along, we're flowing along this linear time dimension. And in terms of shifting from the head to the heart, it is like so many of the others that I've read already. It's about letting go of the expectations and the thinkiness. We get into thinky, right? We look in front of us and see a rose, and we go, oh, I think that might smell nice, but I think it might poke me with a thorn if I go near it. And I think this about the leaves, and I think that about the petals, and I think something else about the color. When in fact, you could just lean in without risking your skin. Just lean in and enjoy the fragrance of it, and look at the velvety petals, and just be present and feel what a miracle a rose bloom is. They're gorgeous. They're amazing. And yes. Okay, did that mean anything? I don't know what that meant. It's about being, just being, and stop doing, stop thinking, just be. And allow the flow of good feeling, and allow the flow of universal love to be, let it flow through you and into the world, because you are so loved from the other side. And I know, oh dear, um, I know there's been an important anniversary this week. Oh, the love still flows, Kathy. The love still flows. And it flows both ways. I know. Um,
but her presence is very strong. Oh, I didn't expect that. It's great. Oh, and that's all I'm going to say about that. Mm. Wisely written words. Okay. Really glad you're here, Kathy. This is so nice. This is good. I actually have it on my list whoops, to be in touch with your brother today, just in case he can. So, we're still in June. We still have that lovely six energy that's helping us all to connect to our destiny, our purpose in life, and we're still in a 4-year. This 4-year is so important, and the longer this lock-in goes on, the more we adjust. Absolutely nothing can go back to the way that it was, and the additional changes that are beginning to happen. There are people calling it the perfect storm of all of the different influences and the bringing down of systems that no longer serve us at all. And in some ways, there's a parallel. I hadn't thought about this between that individualistic, hierarchical, independent one energy that we had through the last millennium, as we're moving into something that is much more cooperative and collaborative. There's a real need to bring down those hierarchies and those self-serving systems. And I think we're seeing some of that right now. So that's a bit interesting. And in some ways, that is a move out of out of out of out of left brain into right brain, isn't it? Out of the thinking and into the feeling and the creating and the knowing. And for those of you who know me, um, there's a book that I'm always touting by Daniel Pink. So it's a he's a business writer and he's a lot about business, but my goodness, he's about life. The book is called A Whole New Mind, and it's subtitled Why Right Brainers Will Rule the World, something like that. And he talks about, it's an old book now, it's from about 2005, I believe, but it's so right. And he talks about the move. We've moved from the age of subsistence farming and industry and the information age, and we're into what he calls the conceptual age, because a lot of the work, the work, the grinding necessity work, even down to growing food, which we started with the farmers and then we industrialized that, and we still all need to eat. We need farms. We need food production, but that has shifted over. There are a lot more very very mechanistic systems and robotic feeders and things like that go on in the factory farms. We still, but in the age of concept, for people who are engaging with the reality of real food, and the idea of chickens that run around in a field is a very happy concept, and people are willing to pay a whole lot more for the eggs that have come from chickens that live in the sunshine and get to eat beetles, as compared to the ones that are kept in boxes in barns and overcrowded and whatever else. So his six senses for the conceptual age are story. No, they're not. They start with design. Design. He was writing at a time when Steve Jobs was just revolutionizing how we interact with the design of things. When if you look back to some of the older technologies, design has changed a lot in the last 20 years. And it's incredibly important how we choose to interact, how people are designing things and formulating things to be to be instinctively interactive right away. And there is software that is so easy, and there is software that is not so easy. And the difference is all about design and the expectations of the designer. So design, then story, how we create a narrative about our lives and about what is going on around us. And you know, those eggs at the farmers market, a lot of the time we're buying them because we know the story. We know that these chickens ran in the sunshine. And we're willing to pay a lot more. The calorie count in an egg is the same, whether it came from a battery farm or from a happy jolly meadow. That story matters to us. We don't want to be the ones often who are participating in that kind of industrialization of sentient beings. And then, so we have design, we have story, we have symphony. He calls it symphony. In my writing, I often call it synthesis, but it's the same thing. It is just as a symphony orchestra combines multiple instruments of different kinds, the strings and the woodwinds and the percussion and the brasses, and creates something that needs all of those parts in order to be what it is. Um, the ability of modern workers and modern designers and storytellers to to uh, to locate information from multiple sources and combine it into something coherent and make it into something new. It's like a recipe. It's and it's what we do. This is where we find value in 2020, from taking information from multiple places and telling a new story. Rather wonderful. So we have design, story, symphony, empathy. Empathy. I'm big on empathy. I'm empathetic as well as empathic. The ability to imagine what somebody else's feelings are like. The ability to know your own feelings and to then go, oh, you know, their experience is different because they're too short to reach the shelf that I can reach, or they are having people walk by them because they're not making their physical presence known, or whatever it is. Being able um, to relate to that. And I mean, we can't see the world exactly how somebody else sees them, because we each, as I said earlier, where our worldview was set when we were little. But to be able to, even knowing that we're going through our own lens, to be able to say, yeah, I'm going to install a step so that person can reach the shelf, or I'm going to bring those books down onto a lower shelf so that person can reach them. Whatever it is, to be a little bit empathetic and treat their experience as valid, and do whatever you can to make their world a more comfortable place. Is that what I want to say? I think so. The fifth of the six senses is play. Play. We have, in the age of information, when we all got these wonderful devices and we all got access to the libraries of the world, and all of the possibilities of research and work, and doing everything deeply, just being constantly bombarded with work-like information. Taking time away, getting away from the screen included, um, to get out and reconnect with that joy. I often quote that statistic that a 6-year-old laughs 300 times a day, and the average adult, I think it's 16. And that was during the days of social proximity. So for those of us who I don't think I encourage sitting alone in your room laughing. That might be a bit of an issue. However, finding ways that, and these technologies and the Zooms and the FaceTimes and things, it's a wonderful way to visit with people. And there is laughter and playfulness and good stuff. Um, it is really important to connect with that, and to get, and that's part of what we're talking about today, getting out of the think and into the feel, just to go into doing things because it feels really good, to play and to have a good time, and to be in a place of childlike wonder. It's finding paid activities that feel like play, absolutely the most successful measure in the whole world. Find work that you love, and you'll never work a day again, or however that phrase goes. Being in that state of joy and enjoyment and laughter and connection couldn't be better. Couldn't be better. And the sixth sense that Daniel Pink talks about is meaning. Having a purpose in life, having a reason to get out of bed and go out of the house, having your life mean more than, go to work, pay the bills, and die. That's not a life. There has to be something. There has to be a feeling that, I made a difference in the world, and that's surely what we came to do. And that's part of the personal work that a numerology chart can do, because it helps you uncover some of your intentions, where it always comes back to intention. What was it that you came to do when you came? It's I don't think any immortal soul said, oh look, I will go to the earth, I will enter into human life and have a human experience and watch television for 30 years and pay my bills and die. That's not what we're here for. Totally not. Finding out what it is we are here for, that is harder. Maybe Renz is here to progress Judith's path along her career. I have no idea. Maybe I had the extreme good fortune at one time in the past of getting connected with a group called Women to Women, I think with a digit 2, or Women for Women. Oh dear, I'm going to have to come back and put a link in here. It's a group that sponsors women, where women in North America can sponsor women in Africa who are living in extreme poverty, and do things like fund some education, fund some training. And the organization, it buys sewing machines, it buys small equipment that can help create cottage industries for these women to lift themselves out of poverty. It is a very feminine thing, because the founders found that money that went to the men in the village very often was it was used for status, elevating their status, rather than actually creating something that served the whole village and the whole community. So the men absolutely do benefit from the women having these supports. So I got to, yes, all this to say there is a woman in, I think, Uganda, whose name is Florence, who was able to take some courses and make some changes because I got the opportunity to sponsor her. And so in terms of meaning, even if that winds up being the only wonderful thing I did in my life, I can be pretty proud of that. I don't think that is the only thing because I do feel my life has meaning. I do get out of bed every morning. I'm doing a lot of things that I find meaningful. But there's stuff, and it doesn't always have to be about spending money. The work that I do near here, there's a nonprofit that serves pregnant and parenting youth, and I don't give them money, but I give them my time, and right now that's cyber time, but it does make a difference, and I do touch lives, and I think that's one of the other places where I find meaning. It is very important to me. So yes, those are Daniel Pink's 6 senses for the conceptual age: design, story, symphony, empathy, play, and meaning. And most activities touch on, most of the activities I get engaged in touch on at least a couple of those. Um, and I do try to bring some playfulness to everything. Is anybody still here? Has anybody arrived? Let me know in the comments if you have. This is going to be a very lopsided video for people who are watching it later. I am shifting these videos or duplicating these videos. I'm going to be launching a YouTube channel soon, and these videos will be going on there. And so they will be available for anybody who wants them anytime. And at the moment they're all still on the Facebook page because I haven't launched the channel yet. So that's something to pay attention to. Hello, Beth. Well, I'm delighted that you stayed. Thank you so much. This was your first time. This I don't usually get to deliver a sermon. Often there's enough people cycling through that I'm reading cards all the time. But it gives you a flavor of the work that I do and the stuff that I care about, I guess. Kathy, I love that you stay. You're so good to me. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We're getting very close. We're at 58 minutes. So if nobody else is coming in, as I say, the video, I don't think there's ever been a video where it's been quite so much of me just talking. And if you're watching the video and you're still watching the video, thank you very much. Please go sign up for my newsletter and hear more of my sermons. I would love that. Leath.com, and like and follow this page on the Facebook page. Oh, okay. When the YouTube is where we're watching, that's an interesting thought. Although I think I've got them all tagged that they can go to joleath.com. I often say like and follow this page, and that won't be true in YouTube. However, that's how it goes. I'm hoping to be creating some original content to go up there, and that will be fun. And what else? If you have any questions, please ask them quickly. We're past 59 minutes. I'm getting ready to launch myself. Whoops. Well, that's nice. This card just threw itself on the floor. Optimism. I think those yellow dandelions, they're like happy faces. So that's kind of a nice flavor to be concluding the session with. I'm going to keep it running just in case there's a big delay. Can you hear the music? have my it keeps me from wandering off too far, but I don't know if you normally can if it transmits to people who are watching. I don't know. All right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We only had five people today. That is very low. It was faint. Okay. Good to know, Beth. Thanks. It's more for me than it's for you, but I just wondered if it ever gets in the into the soundtrack. That is a nice conclusion. Is the optimism. So I am going to go. Thank you for staying, and thank you for watching the video if that's what you're doing. And I will be back on Friday at 2 o'clock Eastern. And watch for my newsletter later today. It's not too late to sign up for it and be part of the process survey about what we're going to be talking about on my free Zoom sessions. Woohoo! All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful week. Thank you, Beth. Thank you, Kathy, for staying all the way. And stay optimistic. It's going to be good. Whatever happens, it's going to be good. We're going to be ready for that. All right. Bye-bye.